Listen to this episode if you have ever questioned if your brand should be on Amazon, how to optimize it, and is it actually a good platform for you to sell your product on. Today, we are welcomed by Nick Hall. He is the founder of Revive Amazon Partners and a former CPG operator who built and exited an 8-figure gummy vitamin brand. Today, we are diving into all things good, the bad, and the ugly on Amazon, how to optimize, how to scale, how to stand out, and is Amazon a good sales channel for you? This episode is absolutely packed with strategies and practical insights of how you can implement your brand on Amazon for scale. Let me know if you have any questions on this. Without further ado, let's dive into this conversation. Nick, is there a product brand that you think should not be on Amazon?
Gosh, it does not matter what category it's in. Products that are substantially more expensive, way worse reviews, that people are just trying to copy the big guy in the category, the worst products out there. Back in 2015, 2016, you used to be able to just product hack. And so you literally could launch anything with bad reviews, with whatever. You could get fake reviews, do all this stuff. Genuinely go out there and find a product that you can continually make better and better.
Yeah. So you're really looking for actually innovation, building brand, and kind of scaling with Amazon.
Exactly. Don't just go Me Too out there. Like the vitamin C serums of the world, you won't win.
The tallow balms. Yeah.
Yeah. Tallow balms, really difficult. We've taken one and we grew it pretty substantially, but it's hard.
I know. I was looking at it this week. I have a client that was selling on Amazon with tallow. And I was like, look at all of these. There's literally hundreds of tallow balms. And in an area that is saturated, I think there's a lot of saturation in a lot of categories right now. How does a brand really stand out on Amazon?
I'm a big believer of go find a niche and figure out a way that you can actually make something different that consumers want. And so what I always like doing, this is a newer thing with the ChatGPTs and the Claude and then name all the other AI, is go just pull all their reviews and figure out the best things that they talk about and the worst things that they talk about. But look at it from percentage. What I think people get wrong more than anything is they go after things that they care about, but other people don't care about. I always say consumers are smarter and dumber than you think they are. And so whenever you get a consumer out there, 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C is better than 500 milligrams of vitamin C. Vitamin C ascorbic acid is the exact same as vitamin C premium, blah, 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 patented, whatever. And so although your body can only process 500 milligrams of vitamin C, 1,000 is still better than 500 to a consumer. Some people go overly scientific, but a consumer's it's vitamin C. What's the difference?
Yeah. Well, it's something that we talk about a lot is in anything. I work a lot in the D2C sales side. It's the same thing. It's you need to look at your industry. Everybody's here and you want to be over here. Look at what people are complaining about. What are people using that they don't really like? It's going to be really hard to actually innovate in 2026 fully. And so you can innovate based on brand, based on messaging, based on positioning, and really just connecting to your community. So that's the same over on Amazon as well.
What I would say with kind of you from D2C side is if you've got something that's super new, innovative, consumers don't know, I would absolutely do Facebook ads or TikTok. Those are discovery platforms. Google and Amazon are something's already there. Now you make something better.
That's interesting. So let's develop that a little bit more. So it is kind of for these people in more saturated industries, and you're just almost adding a nuance to a product that's already there.
That's right. Because when you look at Google or you look at Amazon, and I'm going to just stick more Amazon because I know how that is now. Now, I do think this is developing into a different way with all of the AI and Rufus and all of that. But consumers are looking for collagen gummies. So if you have some new form that's this collagen mint, well, yeah, consumers may, but they wanted the gummy.
And that's what they're searching for. Yeah. Right.
I always think when you think of a toilet brush, you think of you got to have the liquid or whatever, and then you got to have the brush, and then you put that nasty brush back in the little holder or whatever. That was good innovation. That actually was the exact same thing of what people were looking for, but with innovative properties. That's a good innovation for probably all areas, right? Facebook, TikTok, Google, and Amazon.
Yeah. So you're really just looking for a product that people are already searching for. And how can we kind of just make a micro tweak, but it has to be within what people are currently searching for.
That's right. Yep, exactly.
Yeah. Would you say that Amazon is very top of funnel for most brands?
I would say it's definitely lower funnel than higher. I would say mid and lower funnel, not as much super high funnel. I think a super high funnel is something that will only work on Facebook. We're whoa, I've never seen it. That's cool. The new game for your kids, you could be showing up on kids' games, but that person's just window shopping. They're looking for just something. They don't know what.
So you're saying people that are shopping on Amazon, they're hot and warm leads. Like they're ready to buy something and they're shopping, but they might not actually have awareness of your brand when they're shopping.
That's right. Okay. And so you got to sell them quick.
Yeah.
And so it's like seconds of selling. And what I would say with this is like on a D2C site, you see 2.5 to 4.5% conversion, right? Maybe some outliers on both sides, but majority are between that. On Amazon, I mean, you're seeing 3 to 5x that as a conversion rate.
Interesting.
And so the metrics that you look at from an Amazon standpoint is going to be click-through rate, conversion, cost per click, right? Those are the 3 main things. Yes, of course, we all want LTV. But like if your AOV isn't above a certain amount on D2C, there's no point in even, I mean, a $10 AOV on your website, you'll never make money ever.
Yeah, totally.
It just doesn't make sense. So.
Yeah. I mean, I saw a statistic the other day that said 63% of sales start on Amazon, which is wild. And you think about how I consume, how I know my friends consume, that is what I really am doing. I'm looking for something and I first start on Amazon. And if I find it on Amazon, great, it'll be here in the morning. Or you can go and, try to find it on social or, Instagram or whatever on Google, try to find it that way. But because Amazon has made it so easy for consumers, it makes sense why people are starting there. So you say your goal really is sales, of course, on Amazon. How does somebody optimize? Are they trying to optimize the first photo, the headline, the description? Like what are the key true pieces that they have to optimize in order to convert better?
If you go and look up YouTube videos or go look up probably this on ChatGPT, it's going to go way to what I would call like the bottom of funnel on this. I always look at things from like a CEO level view, then a VP of marketing, then a director, and then like an analyst level. And so if we take those levels, what I actually first do is I go backwards. And so I look at, hey, what are our top sellers? What are the ones that we genuinely believe that we can actually grow? Because the reality is you cannot just fix a company by just doing marketing if you market in the wrong way.
Yeah.
And so you've got to go after the right products first. And you probably see this all the time where it's like, there are some products where you're like, hey, I won't work with you because of this. I really think it's actually like one of the coolest things. I started a CPG company at first. We sold it 2.5 years ago, but I'm like, man, half my product launches would not have been the same if I had known what I know now. I think that's like one of the most interesting things. So I start with product and then we start with like, how do we make it actually better? And if there's certain things that we can kind of wrap on. Now, this is like the basis then to the images and the bullet points within to make our SEO substantially better. One thing you'll see this year with Rufus on Amazon, their AI, is this becoming a lot more feature based. So like I just bought a fan for my backyard and I wanted a big ass fan, but I'm not going to spend $4,000 on a backyard fan. That's just insane. And so I'm like, I'm going to live in this house for a good while. I want to get a fan that is similar to big ass fans. I'm willing to spend more money than less. Earlier days, I used to just go try to find the cheapest headphones. Now I'm like, I'm gonna just do the Apple headphones or whatever. So I was like, I want good quality with it or whatever. And it starts going through the CFM that a big ass fan has versus this and like the aluminum, blah, blah, blah. And and it starts going through all these different things. And I'm like, that's exactly what I need. And I ended up buying the most expensive, but it gave me 3 options. It was like cheapest, best value, and best quality. And I was like, okay, it's $30 more for the best quality. I'm just going to go best quality so I never have to replace this thing.
Yeah. So it really is, especially with AI, it's kind of adding in the AEO kind of style of marketing here, is that you do start with the product and making sure that the product is optimized, differentiated. And then you go, okay, how is it differentiated? Is it for sensitive skin? Is it for, backyard use? Is it for athletes, whatever? And those are the keywords that we're changing in the description, in the headlines, in the keywords. And that's really how you create and generate views and sales, is because you have these nuances, but it all starts at the foundations of your brand.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. Like one of the things I always go back to is always make sure you hit the top things. Because what some people do is they'll skip down and they'll be like, oh, what are the most important things just in general? And they'll just get a list of all these things. And let's be real, in consumables, what's the most important thing is taste, right? Like if you've got a consumable product from the grocery store and it's the most healthy thing ever for you and it tastes like dog poop, I guarantee you no one's going to eat it again. And so it's like, there's a one-time buy and you're never getting it again.
And I think, like greens powders was a really big one there. I think a lot of those tasted awful and we saw a lot of brands come and go. And the players that did care about certain avenues of product there are the ones that are still out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one other thing that I always just go after is I'm like, unless you have really, really deep pockets, don't go super, super hot product. Don't go after the collagen or colostrum or apple cider vinegar because what happens with all of those is cost per clicks go up like crazy. I built the biggest creatine gummy company on Amazon and within 6 months, there was like 2,000 different companies that had come in and just commoditized. Half of them weren't even selling real stuff. It was just gummies, sugar in it. But don't go after those super hot things because they get super hot and then they drop. And what happens is then they become commoditized and then they're just not great. And so I always try to stick in like, what's the classic of what everyone's done, is doing, all that.
Yeah. It's almost like you want to rise up with the consumer trend as opposed to rising at the very top. Yeah, that makes sense.
That's exactly right.
I mean, because I know some people listening are consumable. Yes, some people are CPG, but we have a lot of like skincare brands, candles, you know, clothing. Any of that is similar to the stance of, like I said, tallow balms. Like if you just go to Amazon and type in tallow balm, there is probably thousands of them there and you have no idea which one to go. And you're very right that now there's a lot of options that are kind of almost just like, they feel like drop shippy where people are just making them because they saw that they were really hot on Amazon. And so you're saying the people that are the best at coming into Amazon are going to be people that have a differentiator set, they have a brand set, but they're not in such a trendy industry that it's so oversaturated that nobody's going to be able to find you over everybody else.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
What are some of the mistakes people make when they're setting up their listings on Amazon that makes them get lost in the shuffle?
Biggest thing I find, big brands go out there and they take a picture, this side, this side, this side, and this side, and go put it up on Amazon. Or they go a step further and they try to do a good job and they do this side, this side, this side, this side of a mock-up. So like you can actually read it and just not going after the advantages. And then I would say the next level is they go lifestyle images and all this stuff that everyone tells you should go do lifestyle images and do this, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, great, but what's the advantage?
Yeah.
So like on an Amazon page, if you got someone to click, the first thing is you've got to get someone to click. And the best way to get someone to click is your image. And so that's where you have a couple of callouts on your main image. And this may be a little bit different. So like, for example, on this, how big is this cup? You have no idea.
Yeah.
Well, you may know just because the industry at this point, but I'm like 40 ounce. Okay, cool. It's 40 ounce. It's, you know, steel insulated. It's whatever. And so you may have like some tags up here on your product that are saying exactly this. Keeps cold for X amount of time, warm and cold. You know, you can go through all of those things. Now, don't make your image look like crap, but like appropriately and design wise, you've got to get someone to click on it. If they click on it, it was a relevant product for them. So that's the most important thing. Is it relevant? The other factors are your price point, your reviews, and then all of the details of it, which the details are the selling points. And so every image has to be something that is for the sales side. I mean, this could be just like one thing. Like this could be one image is like hot and cold insulation up to 24 hours. The next one could be 40 ounce with this ergonomic handle or I don't know, whatever. And so you just kind of go through, but you don't want to have like 40 things on one thing. You don't want to just like bullet everything out. You want to make it easy to read one thing. And then I always say left to right, just as we read, top left to bottom right of every picture. That's where people's eyes will focus. So most important, top left, least important, bottom right.
I mean, it makes sense when I think about how I shop on Amazon and how I know other people shop is you go and you are searching. And the thing about Amazon is you are right up against people that are your exact same product. So you are right up against your competitors. So how can you say my product is different than theirs or just highlight the features and the benefits better in that initial image and then in the rest of them from there. I do this with a lot of my clients is when they ask questions like, okay, well, how do you consume on Amazon? Is I type something in. So what was the last thing that I bought on Amazon? I bought under cabinet lighting for my kitchen. I typed in under cabinet lighting for my kitchen. And then it came up with, okay, some of them were rechargeable. Some of them plugged in. Some of them had a remote. Some of them changed colors. And it was all of those different pieces. And I was like, I don't really need it to change color. You know, I would love for it to plug in instead of be rechargeable. I don't want to have to like individually plug all these in. Okay, this one. And then I scrolled through them to read how long was it? All of these other features. And so we have to think of what are your questions while you're shopping and how can we answer that? And I think it's a really good point. It's marketing at the end of the day is what would you put on your social media to educate people in the graphics on social? That's what has to be on the graphics of your Amazon. I think that's a really good point is they need to see the benefits, the features, and just all of those call outs. Because honestly, oftentimes there's two of the exact same product right next to each other. And it's just the one that I say, oh, that one has 40 ounces versus 38. Or that one lasts for 10 hours versus 8. I'm like, sweet. Just like you said with the fan, it's like, I'd rather pay an extra $10 to get an extra 2 hours out of my battery life or whatever that might be. I think that's a really great piece there. When we're looking at Amazon, if you were launching a CPG brand today, how would you structure your channel strategy? I know you had a supplement company. How did you decide to go Amazon, D2C, retail, and what was your thought process there?
One of the most important things that I think is figuring out the business model before you actually get started on anything. And so what I mean by that is like understand with CPG what that business model is, which means most of the time you have to raise money because you've got to go buy product. You got to pay for packaging. You got to pay for the branding. You got to pay for the marketing. There's a lot of expenses in this business. I think channel strategy is the next most important thing. And so if I was to go fully off and I go like home improvement, water filtration, do you use affiliates? Do you use Google? Do you use Facebook? Go look at a plumber. Yes, it's still home services, but that's not the same strategy. You probably want to go Google, local search ads, SEO, all of that stuff first. If there's 30 plumbers in my neighborhood and they're all massive and they all have huge marketing budgets, it's the worst thing to get into. So like to me, I'm like, figure out what your plan is with whatever it may be. And so like if your product costs $6, let's just say you're going to do gum, D2C is going to be incredibly difficult. It's $4 for a pack of gum. How do you differentiate, right? And so like that's going to be probably just strictly a retail play for a good while. When you go beverage is really, really expensive to ship. And so make sure it fits within the business model to start and do what the model actually fits to make you money is how I always look at it. And so like for us, we were in supplements selling these custom gummy vitamin packs. Okay, well, you can't sell any other way except for D2C. And so for us, we were D2C only at first. And then we adjusted and made a different product that could go Amazon. And we started selling like crazy amount there. And we're like, well, this is substantially easier.
Yeah.
And then we went retail for like massive scale of the business. And so let's be real though. I just think it's hilarious when people say like, oh, I don't want to be on Amazon. It's just going to diminish my brand. And I'm like, explain to me Apple, HP, Dell, Samsung, all sell. Vital Proteins, Ollie, Liquid IV, name the company. Mudwater was fully D2C. Now they're not. Jolie, the shower, whatever, $16 million a year on Amazon. I'm like, consumer shop there. Liquid IV founder Brandon Cohen, he had such a cool way of looking at it where he was like, we wanted to be where our customers shopped. So we figured out all the places that they wanted to shop and we put it there. We had it on our website. We had it on Amazon. We had it in Whole Foods. We had it in Walmart. I shop at Walmart. Someone else shops at Whole Foods. The other person only shops on Amazon. Cool.
Yeah, I think what you said there about kind of choosing your primary to start is good, but you do still have to cast that wide net. Most of this is just understanding your industry and choosing something that's a little bit unique of your industry, understanding your ideal customer and being wherever they are, and understanding the nuances of your product. Because like you said, even candles are really expensive to ship. So there might be some other areas that you might have to go. I have some clients, they make like fun mugs or something. Like mugs suck to ship D2C because there's so much packaging. It's like literally, It's so expensive. They're so heavy and it doesn't really make sense. And so you do have to identify where your sales channel makes sense for your product and also where you want to sell. Like do you want to have a D2C first brand? If it's okay, I'm going to interrupt this podcast for 30 quick seconds to let you know about the Founders Cafe. It is my completely free podcast community where you can gain access to bonus resources, gain access to me and free coaching calls, as well as build a network of other business owners just like yourself. Business ownership is a lonely game and we might as well build community, build a network, and have a space to collaborate. We can bring this conversation and all the other conversations we have on this podcast over into this free podcast community and make this a two-way street. I would love to answer your questions there, connect with you, see you on our next free coaching call. Click the link in the show notes and you'll find the link there. If somebody is D2C and they've kind of built it out D2C, I know Vital Proteins did this. They did a lot D2C and then they expanded. Do you feel like Amazon is an expansion strategy or do you feel like it's somewhere they should have initially first come to market?
I think it's so dependent on the company. I mean, if you're going ridiculously like innovative, it's probably not your first channel. D2C is probably the best way. What we always found was our most successful products on Amazon were our least successful on retail. And my theory on this, which I feel like it was proven right a number of times over, was all consumers know sleep gummies now. So when they walked on the aisle and they're looking for a sleep gummy, they're there. I don't know if you knew about tart cherry gummies or even what tart cherry gummies do. That's a real sub niche that you can probably still make 50 or 100 grand a month on Amazon. But in a retail store, someone's like, oh, what is tart cherry? Is that a flavor? Is that a, whatever? So that's
Yeah.
super important to look at as well.
Yeah, because retail, you can only do as much educating as you can fit on your packaging. And so on Amazon, you have so much more education. People are also searching for a very specific product. Whereas if you're in the aisle of Target, people might be walking through the supplement aisle and they don't know that they need tart cherry gummies. But when people are on Amazon, they searched for it to find it, or like sleep supplement, tart cherry gummies pops up. So they're able to kind of, differentiate it that way. I totally see where you're coming from there. I mean, with everything, I always say this, my audience knows this, but like business growth is nuanced. And so of course, every industry is nuanced. Your advice has to be nuanced. So there's nuance to all of it. But on Amazon, it seems like some people use it as expansion because some people come to market. If you are selling D2C and you have social media, would you recommend linking over to Amazon or just link to your website? I have some clients that come to me and they're like, I'm on Amazon, but I don't really want to talk about it. I use it as kind of like that discovery because they don't want to pay the fees. They don't want to pay Amazon for some of it. What's your take on that?
So if you've got a product that's, let's say, less than $20, it's got to be on Amazon. The ideal price point on Amazon is probably $15 to $30. If you've got a product over $30, a shower head or a expensive supplement, any of that, I think your best place is probably your Shopify website. There's a whole different category of like what goes retail, right? Like probably drinks, but then of drinks, is it energy drinks? Because most of the energy drink sales, what is it, like 70% or something is within convenient. So then you got to figure out the channel within that. I think retail is one of the hardest ones to get straight. There is a ton of nuance within all of them.
All of it.
But yeah. I do think if you're doing well from a Shopify, social media standpoint to that, you will have a really good chance of being successful on Amazon. What I always tell people, and this is hard and this is nuanced as well, but I would say get on Amazon earlier than later. Some of my favorite campaigns is, back in the day, it was always like Mudwater was the only mushroom coffee out there. Even a better example was Liquid IV owned the electrolyte space, right? Really, really expensive to get into it. Well, the keyword Liquid IV variety pack was searched like tens of thousands of times a month. And Liquid IV never had a variety pack. So there's this company, and you can go look it up today. It's like Hydromate, or I don't know. It's some jank looking thing. I mean, they were doing like $400,000 or $500,000 a month off of just a variety pack of the exact same flavors of what Liquid IV had, just because Liquid IV didn't know how to expand to the right products. And so I'm like, that's a perfect opportunity and a perfect reason of like why you go figure out what does the customer need and bring it there sooner than later.
That's really interesting. I mean, what it tells me is the people that are looking at the data, looking at the gaps and identifying what isn't out there are the ones that are going to win. It is a data-driven game, and it is looking at, okay, yeah, there might be 10,000 tallow balms, but there might not be a tallow balm for, whatever, eczema. And they have something very specific that's okay. There's people searching for it. When you can see that, again, you have to listen to the consumers. What are the consumers wanting? What are they saying that they're looking for? And you can almost innovate. It's honestly a good way to figure out if you even want to start a business, go and find the gap on Amazon of something that's super highly searched that is not actually getting any traffic.
Oh, for sure. I mean, that's like the ideal.
So people are on Amazon, they have a couple of sales, maybe they're paying for ads, they're making maybe a couple hundred sales a month. What is really the difference between somebody that's making maybe, $50,000 to $100,000 on Amazon a year versus like a 7-figure Amazon brand?
Almost always what I find is the way that they set up their ad account. So This is what most people go through. They launch their product, they get it okay on there. It looks pretty good. They're not ranking high on Amazon. They try to change some of the keywords. They still can't get it. They sit there and they grow a little bit and they plateau way too early. And the most common thing that I find on this is the way that people structure their ads is like, I don't blame them because there's a bunch of YouTube videos out there that just blow smoke. And I had 7 Amazon agencies I worked with that were some of like the best, and they're far from that. So they've got to restructure. So the way that most people structure it is campaign, multiple ad groups, multiple products, multiple keywords. And who cares if it's 2, 3, 4 products or 10 products and 3, 4, 5 keywords or 50 keywords. This is how I explain it to people. Your campaign is to adjust your budget. Okay. So you go up, down with that. Your keywords and your targets is your bid. And so in order for you to grow, you either adjust budget up or your bid up. And so the higher you bid in theory, you should show up higher. But if you've got 50 keywords in a campaign going after 5 different products, Amazon doesn't know which one you want to go after. Although we all like to think positively and say, well, Amazon, they want to make more money. They want to do whatever. They have no problem making money off of you. And so I think their growth has been like 91%, but their ad cost has gone up 387%. So to me, I'm like, they've hit the market. how many more people can get on Amazon in America now,
Yeah.
But they can absolutely take money from the brands.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's a lot of people's qualm with Amazon is similar to Etsy or Faire or any of those is it's really, they don't want to give it up. And like we said, some brands are really good D2C, some brands are really good on Amazon, something like that, depending on who they are. But many of them can do both skincare, supplements, anything. They could be on either one of these platforms. And so they choose to just focus on D2C instead of trying to scale on Amazon because they don't want to give up the 20, 30% or whatever it might be on their profit. How would you respond to that?
I do a profit loss analysis on all this stuff all the time. And almost everyone, I promise, will make more money on Amazon than they will on their D2C. D2C makes more sense when you've got recurring purchases, when you can add massive average order value, all of that stuff. The math I always give is I'm like, again, cost per click on your website, $2-3. Average conversion rate, let's call it 3%. At a 3% at $3, it's costing you $90 to acquire a customer. Now, if it's $1 because you're really good at optimizing your ads or whatever it may be, that obviously is more ideal. Everyone leaves at the marketing cost. And so people go, well, I'm selling my product, let's just say for $100. On Amazon, they're going to take 15% right away and then they're going to take their FBA fee, right? And it's like, okay, yeah, but you left out a massive part of the equation, which is the marketing. It's like starting any kind of company and not looking at the full model of it, but just looking at like, oh, I have a 92% margin in this kind of business. And it's like, okay, but you also have the variable cost of this and this and this and this. And so that's where I kind of look at that stuff. Now, the reality is there's your profitability on it, your cash flow on it, your LTV on it, but you also have your marketing costs. And so I think you've got to look through like the full market funnel because again, when we were talking earlier about like which channel do you go, the reason that you and I were talking about like the channels that we would go for specific products is because that's where you will likely be more profitable right away.
Yes.
So like the $45 product will be way more profitable on their website. Like I got a buddy right now. He is like genius with this stuff, launches products all the time, tests all this different stuff. Dude did $10 million in 3 months with a new product. I mean, absolutely insane. He never in his life could he have done that on Amazon. No way.
Yeah.
But there's other ones where I'm like, they're like, yeah, I'm trying to get my D2C to work. And I'm like, oh, no. Actually, salsa's not going to work on Amazon or on your website. No one needs a 12-pack of salsa.
There's so much here that we could dive into is yes, you can chase profit, but there is even like customer acquisition cost, somebody to do your social media and all of that. And I love D2C, but I also understand that there are other channels that for some products make more sense. Certain things that are almost so niche that are getting very little search term might not be great on Amazon, but they're so innovative that you can really gain a lot of traction just by talking about the problem you're solving with your product, D2C, full profit, that way. But like we've said, is if you have a more mainstream product or like a more, I guess, CPG consumable products that are being heavily searched for that just have a nuance to it that we know people are already on Amazon looking for, it makes sense to be on Amazon in some of those different, like you said, $15 to $30 is really great.
That's exactly right. Yeah, I think you're nailing that.
Yeah. Do you feel like there's any piece of the puzzle here on Amazon that we haven't covered that is one of your either like non-negotiables, hot takes, whatever that might be, that you feel like people need to know?
The biggest thing, and I've kind of touched on this stuff, is like, look at it from those levels of like the CEO, the VP, the director, and the analyst, right? So you've got to look at it from like the market, the industry, all of that in general. I'm not gonna make a blatant statement saying beauty industry is hard, but there's factors of the beauty industry that are harder. Like cost per clicks in that category are harder. Well, usually the harder ones are also the most profitable ones. Beauty is usually really profitable, but marketing costs are more expensive. So I think if you can go through all of that stuff and then just realize, I think the most important thing is that Amazon has changed more in the last year than I've seen in the last 12 years. And I will guarantee this year, 2026, will have some of the biggest changes on Amazon. And I think that it's going to go from this keyword search platform to this like product based. We'll start looking for things in a different way, just like you were talking about under cabinet lights. If you go use Claude or ChatGPT or GenSpark, name all these other AI tools, they'll start asking you questions right away. Well, they're going to know exactly what it is. And they're going to give you 3 options because they know if you ever go and figure out like, how does a salesperson present something? The worst thing to do as a salesperson is to go present 4,200 different things because then we get decision fatigue.
Totally. I mean, AI is changing everything right now from an e-com perspective, even from a D2C side, as we're seeing people go to ChatGPT. I've used this example a couple times in other episodes, but like I was buying snowmobile boots for my husband for Christmas. I have no idea on snowmobile boots. And so I went on ChatGPT and I said, my husband wants these. He has this snowmobile. I don't know what to buy. And it gave me 3 to 5 options. I went through and I said, those are ugly. I don't want this. I don't want that. And it analyzed it and said, here you go. And I think that's where Amazon, like with Rufus, is you can now say, hey, I have this project. This is what I need to buy. This is what I'm looking for. Can you give me a product idea? And I think that's going to be the future of shopping in general online. Is we basically have these little personal shoppers in the form of AI chatbots that are going to direct us as to what to actually buy. Yeah.
I think what's going to be so cool with it too is like my personality has changed over time. 9 years ago, I made $7,000 a year and now I make a little bit more than that. So at this point, I'm like, back in the day, I bought necessities, and by necessities, I'm like, I needed headphones. If they were more than $19, they were not getting bought. But I have to buy a new pair every 2 months because I had no money. I couldn't afford it. And I was like, I can't spend $200 on headphones. And now I'm at a place in life where I'm like, I'm not going to have these freaking headphones break. What a pain in my ass. And so me 9 years ago and myself now search the same thing. This person's going to get dealt the ad of like, they know that they're not going to go AirPods. Now I buy everything Mac, Apple, whatever. Cause I'm like, it just integrates. Everything integrates. I have no issues. And I'm sure there's some gaming computer that's substantially more powerful than mine. I really don't care. I just want it all to integrate.
I say that all the time. I'm like, I don't love Apple, but I have an iPad, an iPhone, a couple of Macs. It's like I have all the products. Unfortunately, they're the best. And you might not love Apple, but honestly, it all integrates. I will buy another MacBook every single time at this point. Yep. I'm too invested. So I totally hear you there. And there's different shoppers, and it's going to be so tailored to the consumer. It's going to be sweet from a consumer side because we'll get the products that we really like that way too.
So cool. I'm excited for a lot of people like real scared and all that stuff. And I'm like, a lot of people don't like the personalized Facebook ads. I freaking love them.
Show me stuff I want to buy. Yeah.
For sure. Don't do it with my wife because then she'll go and she loves buy. Keeps me employed, but.
No, I hear you. Nick, this has been such a good conversation and so helpful. I know you guys have an agency. Tell us a little bit about who you are, where people can find you and things like that.
Yeah. So we run Amazon growth. We do Amazon only. I have no care to do anything else. We just want to be really, really, really good at that. I got burned by 7 Amazon agencies, 12 overall agencies. I think one of the coolest things and one of the greatest things that you and I have gotten to talk about through this is like, if someone ever asks, what do you think that we can actually do? Like, what is the potential? Is this worth actually going after? Or am I going after the wrong channel, wrong product, whatever? And hopefully you get a good human on the other side that can actually tell you like, these are the challenges, these are the potentials, here's the reality. Because there's too many people that they sell in a very like salesman type way. And so for me, I'm like, I do not ever want to do that anymore. And so like we hire people minimum 3 years experience. We go through 540 hours of training. The common in our industry is 24 hours. They go through 692 questions. A passing grade is not a 70. We don't hire C players. We hire A plus players. They have to get A pluses. So they have to be over 90% on every single test. And so those things are like really, really important for us. And so if anyone ever has any questions or whatever, I genuinely love just like helping guide people the right way. Biggest, easiest place for me is LinkedIn. Happy to chat.
Cool. Awesome. We'll put your LinkedIn in the show notes down below, Nick. This has been so great. Thanks for coming.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Madison.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Business Growth Podcast. We put out new episodes every Tuesday and Friday. So if you love this one, make sure that you're subscribed so you never miss a conversation. If you want more conversations with me and other business owners, make sure that you join our completely free podcast community, the Founders Cafe. The link is in the show notes. You can get bonus resources, access to free coaching calls, as well as connect with like-minded business owners like yourself. Make sure that you rate and review the podcast 5 stars, share it with a friend to keep those conversations moving, and come back every Tuesday and Friday. I'll see you there.